Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new Let's Read segment. If you caught my short, you will see that we are reading a book called Beyond Religion by the Dalai Lama. And in the short, if you didn't catch it, I do explain basically what this book is about. And as always with these books, with these types of books, I do read the introduction because I find it can give us a bit of an understanding of what to expect on a deeper level in the book that we're reading. If there's anything special that we need to know that the author wants to share with us. I have learned from reading so many of these books that even though it can be a little bit tedious, it is important to read the introduction in these types of books. So we're going to start out today with the introduction, which is not very long, and depending on how long this takes to read, it's just a few pages long. We'll move on to part one. This book is broken up into two parts with a total of 11 chapters, not including the introduction and the afterword, which I will certainly read as well. It's pretty short. So let's start out with the introduction of Beyond Religion by the Dalai Lama. I am an old man now. I was born in 1935 in a small village in northeastern Tibet. For reasons beyond my control, I have lived most of my adult life as a stateless refugee in India, which has been my second home for over 50 years. I often joke that I am India's longest staying guest. In common with other people of my age, I have witnessed many of the dramatic events that have shaped the world we live in. Since the late 1960s, I have also traveled a great deal and had the honor to meet people from many different backgrounds, not just presidents and prime ministers, kings and queens, and leaders from all around the world's great religious traditions, but also a great number of ordinary people from all walks of life. Looking back over the past decades, I find many reasons to rejoice. Through advances in medical science, deadly diseases that have been eradicated. Millions of people have been lifted from poverty and have gained access to modern education and healthcare. We have a universal declaration of human rights, and awareness of the importance of such rights has grown tremendously. As a result, the ideals of freedom and democracy have spread around the world, and there is increasing recognition of the oneness of humanity. There is also growing awareness of the importance of a healthy environment. In very many ways, the last half century or so has been one of progress and positive change. At the same time, despite tremendous advances in so many fields, there is still great suffering, and humanity continues to face enormous difficulties and problems. While in the more affluent parts of the world, people enjoy lifestyles of high consumption, there remain countless millions whose basic needs are not met. With the end of the Cold War, the threat of global nuclear destruction has receded, but many continue to endure the sufferings and tragedy of armed conflict. In many areas, too, people are having to deal with environmental problems, and with these, threats to their livelihood and worse. At the same time, many others are struggling to get by in the face of inequality, corruption, and injustice. These problems are not limited to the developing countries. In the richer countries, too, there are many difficulties, including widespread social problems like alcoholism, drug abuse, domestic violence, family breakdown. People are worried about their children, about their education, and what the world holds in store for them. Now, too, we have to recognize the possibility that human activity is damaging our planet beyond a point of no return, a threat which creates further fear. And all the pressures of modern life bring with them stress, anxiety, depression, and increasingly loneliness. As a result, everywhere I go, people are complaining, even if I find myself complaining from time to time. It is clear that something is seriously lacking in the way we humans are going about things. But what is it that we lack? The fundamental problem, I believe, is that at every level, we are giving too much attention to the external, material aspects of life, while neglecting moral ethics and inner values. By inner values, I mean the qualities that we all appreciate in others, and toward which we all have a natural instinct, bequeathed by our biological nature as animals that survive and thrive only in an environment of concern, affection, and warm-heartedness. Or in a single word, compassion. The essence of compassion is a desire to alleviate the suffering of others and to promote their well-being. This is the spiritual principle from which all other positive inner values emerge. We all appreciate in others the inner qualities of kindness, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, and generosity. And in the same way, we are all averse to displays of greed, malice, hatred, and bigotry. So actively promoting the positive inner qualities of the human heart that arise from our core disposition toward compassion and learning to combat our more destructive propensities will be appreciated by all. And the first beneficiaries of such a strengthening of our inner values will no doubt be ourselves. Our inner lives are something we ignore at our own peril, and many of the greatest problems we face in today's world are the result of such neglect. Not long ago, I visited Orissa, a region in eastern India. The poverty in this part of the country, especially among tribal people, has recently led to growing conflict and insurgency. I met with a member of parliament from the region and discussed these issues. From him, I gathered that there are a number of legal mechanisms and well-funded government projects already in place, aimed at protecting the rights of tribal people and even giving them material assistance. The problem, he said, was that because of corruption, these programs were not benefiting those they were intended to help. When such projects are subverted by dishonesty, inefficiency, and irresponsibility on the part of those charged with implementing them, they become worthless. This example shows very clearly that even when a system is sound, its effectiveness depends on the way it is used. Ultimately, any system, any set of laws or procedures can only be as effective as the individuals responsible for its implementation. If, owing to failures of personal integrity, a good system is misused, it can easily become a source of harm rather than a source of benefit. This is a great truth which applies to all fields of human activity, even religion. Though religion certainly has the potential to help people lead meaningful and happy lives, it too, when misused, can become a source of conflict and division. Similarly, in the fields of commerce and finance, the systems themselves may be sound, but if the people using them are unscrupulous and driven by self-serving greed, the benefits of those systems will be undermined. Unfortunately, we see this happening in many kinds of human activities, even in international sports, where corruption threatens the very notion of fair play. Of course, many discerning people are aware of these problems and are working sincerely to redress them from within their own areas of expertise. Politicians, civil servants, lawyers, educators, environmentalists, activists, and so on. People from all sides are already engaged in this effort. This is very good so far as it goes. But the fact is, we will never solve our problems simply by instituting new laws and regulations. Ultimately, the source of our problems lies at the level of the individual. If people lack moral values and integrity, no system of laws and regulations will be adequate. So long as people give priority to material values, then injustice, corruption, inequity, intolerance, and greed, all the outward manifestations of neglect of inner values, will persist. So what are we to do? Where are we to turn for help? Science, for all the benefits it has brought our external world, has not yet provided scientific grounding for the development of the foundations of personal integrity, the basic inner human values that we appreciate in others and would do well to promote in ourselves. Perhaps then we should seek inner values from religion, as people have done for millennia. Certainly religion has helped millions of people in the past, helps millions of people today, and will continue to help millions in the future. But for all its benefits and offering moral guidance and meaning in life, in today's secular world, religion alone is no longer adequate as a basis for ethics. One reason for this is that many people in the world no longer follow any particular religion. Another reason is that as the peoples of the world become ever more closely interconnected in an age of globalization and in multicultural societies, ethics based on any one religion would only appeal to some of us. It would not be meaningful for all. In the past, when peoples lived in relative isolation from one another, as we Tibetans lived quite happily for many centuries behind our walls of mountains, the fact that groups pursued their own religiously based approaches to ethics posed no difficulties. Today, however, any religion-based answer to the problem of our neglect of inner values can never be universal, and so will be inadequate. What we need today is an approach to ethics which makes no recourse to religion and can be equally acceptable to those with faith and those without, a secular ethics. If you're not familiar with secular, it just means something that doesn't pertain to a religious aspect, like a secular priest who doesn't belong to a certain religion, but can minister to all. This statement may seem strange coming from someone who from a very early age has lived as a monk in robes. Yet I see no contradiction here. My faith enjoins me to strive for the welfare and benefit of all sentient beings, and reaching out beyond my own tradition to those of other religions and those of none is entirely in keeping with this. I am confident that it is both possible and worthwhile to attempt a new secular approach to universal ethics. My confidence comes from my conviction that all of us, all human beings, are basically inclined or disposed toward what we perceive to be good. Whatever we do because we think it will be of some benefit. At the same time, we all appreciate the kindness of others. We are all by nature oriented toward the basic human values of love and compassion. We all prefer the love of others to their hatred. We all prefer others' generosity to their meanness. And who among us does not prefer tolerance, respect, and forgiveness of our failings to bigotry, disrespect, and resentment? In view of this, I am of the firm opinion that we have within our grasp a way and a means to ground inner values without contradicting any religion, and yet, crucially, without depending on religion. The development and practice of this new vision of ethics is what I propose to elaborate in the course of this book. It is my hopes that doing so will help to promote understanding of the need for ethical awareness and inner values in this age of excessive materialism. At the outset, I should make it clear that my intention is not to dictate moral values. Doing that would be of no benefit. To try to impose moral principles from outside, to impose them, as it were, by command, can never be effective. Instead, I call for each of us to come to our own understanding of the importance of inner values. For it is these inner values which are the source of both an ethically harmonious world and the individual peace of mind, confidence, and happiness we all seek. Of course, all the world's major religions, with their emphasis on love, compassion, patience, tolerance, and forgiveness, can and do promote inner values. But the reality of the world today is that grounding ethics in religion is no longer adequate. This is why I believe the time has come to find a way of thinking about spirituality and ethics that is beyond religion. So that was the introduction. And I will say something that always sticks with me, because I think I've mentioned this before. I was born and raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic school. I got married in a Catholic church. I sent my children to Catholic schools. And if you asked me, outwardly, I would say I was pretty open-minded about religions in general. But in my heart, I felt that being Catholic was the only one true, correct religion. I stand very corrected. I don't think there is one correct religion. I actually have to remind myself something that really keeps me grounded in this when I kind of feel bad about straying from being Catholic, so to speak, is that Jesus was not a religion. His mother, when she found out that she was carrying the Messiah, thought that she was going to be carrying the next Messiah of Judaism. Little did she know, and to her surprise, that was not the message that he was here to give. It was far from what Judaism stood for, which was a wrathful God, a punishing God, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. It was very far. And Jesus didn't belong to a certain religion. So for those of you that might be a little bit stuck on what you've been taught in your religions and, carry around guilt or any kind of a negative feeling from belonging to a certain religion and some of the values that maybe you've broken that they say you shouldn't break, I really strongly suggest using your own discernment and remembering that a lot of religions, while they are based on some principles that come from the Bible, have a lot of man-made stuff behind it. Stuff made from the higher ups, from the Vatican, from the higher up priests. And at the end of the day, a lot of that organized stuff, it is a business. It has to be. There's only one way that it can remain alive, and that's not by worship alone. So that's just my personal feeling. I think it's wonderful if somebody has a religion and they draw from that faith and that has done things for them in their life that they couldn't have done otherwise. But from my personal experience, I never found the true peace and happiness and actual answers to many questions until I stepped away from that particular religion and I accepted things that most religions would look at and say are not correct, or that it doesn't say that in the Bible. I just try to keep a very open mind. That's why this book appealed to me, and maybe it will appeal to you too. So the next chapter, a lot of these are not super long. They're about anywhere from about 10 to 15 pages long at the most, except for one chapter in particular. So I'm going to try to read one chapter in each segment, excepting for the one or two that are a bit longer, just so that we can keep it all wrapped up together and there's not an enormous amount of videos, and I try to do that with every single one. And I don't think this book is going to be something that's going to be difficult to understand. It seems so far that he writes it in a way that is very relatable. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to. It doesn't matter if you don't belong to a religion at all. This is secular, which means anybody, it's non-religious, and it's looking at things from a different point of view. So in our next video, we will start with part 1. There's 2 parts to the book. So the first part is 7 chapters long, and then the next section is 1, 2, 3, 4, not including the afterword. And the first part is titled A New Vision of Secular Ethics. And then chapter 1 is Rethinking Secularism in Inner Values in an Age of Science. So we will stop right there. I'll give you the introduction to sort of ponder on and see if this is something that you're interested in. And if you are, I will be posting the new video with chapter 1 very soon. So until next time, when we go to our next chapter, our first chapter, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you. I will see you again very soon for chapter 1 in this book. Okay? Bye-bye.